Way out. Torchy whispered the whole story to me in our room. Lucky was fooling around behind the school last October, bouncing a tennis ball against the back wall. So anyhow, one time the ball got past him. When he was looking for it, he noticed this round place in the ground. He's always finding stuff. Anyhow, he decided to check it out. He got a stick and started poking around. Guess what he found? I shrugged. Not a clue. There was this manhole cover. He called me over and we got it up. Guess what we found? I shrugged again. A pipe, Torchy said. This big old tunnel. I guess it was a drain or something. We followed it. I didn't really want to go, but I wasn't going to be a chicken if Lucky went. It doesn't go far, but get this. It comes out on the other side of the fence, down at the bottom of the hill. He paused, I guess to let me fully appreciate the meaning of that. It was the perfect way out. Since the fence was 10 feet high and back, and no one ever checked to see if kids were there. They locked the front gate in the evening when the guard left. Which door do we use? I asked. Torchy shook his head. Too dangerous. We could get caught. Lucky's room is in the back, so we go out his window. I thought Lucky had a room on the first floor, I said. Torchy nodded. He does, but we made a ladder, Torchy said. Lucky found some broomsticks in a closet, and we borrowed a bunch of rope from Mr. Briggs' supplies. I tied the knots myself. I was a Cub Scout. I would have been a Boy Scout too, but I got kicked out because of this fire in my tent. Man, canvas really burns a lot faster than you'd think, but that's not important. He stood up and said, come on, let's get ready. Torchy showed me how to stuff clothes under my blanket to make it look like I was asleep in bed. That was just in case anyone checked on the rooms. It probably wasn't necessary. Once classes were over, nobody seemed to care all that much what we did, as long as we didn't involve too much violence or vandalism. The teachers went home in the evening, except for whoever had gotten stuck with night duty, which just meant sleeping in that room on the second floor in case there was an emergency. One more thing, Torchy whispered as we cracked our door. Remember, don't even mention stealing to Lucky, okay? Sure, no problem. I followed Torchy down the hall to meet Lucky. True to his name, he had a room to himself. The rope ladder was already dangling out the window. A long stick tied to the top kept it from falling through. From the sharp chill in the room, it felt like the window had been open for a while. I watched as the others climbed down one at a time. When my turn came, I wasn't sure I could do it. I got my left leg out the window fine, but it took 3 tries before I managed to swing the other leg past the ledge. The ladder swayed like the funhouse floor, and I had to dig with my toes to get each rung away from the wall. Halfway down, my hands started to grow numb from the cold. I hurried to reach the ground before I lost my grip. Despite visions of splattering myself into a huge pile of roadkill, I made it without any real slips. Well, what if we get caught? I asked after I stepped away from the ladder. Lucky shrugged. What can they do? Shoot us? I saw his point. We were already at the end of the line as far as getting in trouble. It's a good thing I wasn't afraid of the dark. Torchy had forgotten the flashlight and nobody felt like going back for it. I walked in total blackness through the pipe. It was a darkness so complete it made me feel I no longer existed except as a bundle of thoughts. Even though I wasn't scared, I didn't like the experience. It's weird what visions the mind can create when the eyes can't see, but I got through it. The pipe spilled us out near the side of a wooded hill, about 50 yards from the road. We followed the road into town and headed to the arcade. The thought of video games made me realize that I had a problem. I don't have any money, I told them. Oh, no big deal, Lucky said. He reached in his pocket and pulled out a handful of quarters. I hesitated. It felt funny taking money from him. Go ahead, help yourself. I didn't steal it. He shook his hand, jingling the coins in his palm. I never said you did. It's just that I don't know when I can pay you back. I figured I could ask my folks for some money, but they probably wouldn't send me any. Don't worry about it, Lucky said. It's my treat. You want it or not? Thanks. I took the coins from him and put them in my pocket. The town of Edgeview wasn't very big. Actually, the main part was across the interstate. The side that we could reach was only about 7 blocks from the school, but traveling through town felt like walking into a different world, a world of houses, homes, and families. It didn't take long to figure out that I was marked. Groups of kids standing and horsing around in the streets got quiet when we passed. Some of them walked across the street when we came near. A couple of kids even ran away from us. What's going on? I asked Torchy. Huh? He looked around as if he didn't know what I meant. Maybe he was used to seeing kids flee from him. They're scared of us, Cheater said, grinning. Can you believe that? They think everyone from Edgeview is dangerous. Do I look like a killer? I squinted at him. It's hard to tell in the dark. Take off your glasses and try to look mean. He had his hand halfway to his face before he realized that I was kidding. I wondered how the kids from the town knew we were from Edgeview. It's a small place, Cheater said as if he'd guessed my next question, so we really stick out. They know we don't go to the public school, and they call us alters since we go to the alternative school. Guess what we call them? Flinch asked. I give up. What? Edgies. Flinch told me I came up with that. I wasn't surprised. Flinch had a gift for funny stuff. He was the one who'd started calling Waylon Hindenburg. You'll get used to them. Cheater told me, hey, I'm certainly used to people treating me different. When everyone stares at you, after a while, it's like nobody at all is staring. That's the truth, Flinch said. I guess they had a point, but it felt really strange the way the town kids acted. I wondered how they'd react to someone who was really dangerous, like Bloodbath. He'd plow through these kids like a bulldozer through a basket of light bulbs. As we got closer to the small strip mall, I scanned the stores, hoping for a pizzeria or a burger place. No luck. There was a video store at the end nearest us. I guess it closed early because the lights were off. I realized that I hadn't seen a movie in weeks. Past that store, a laundry pumped the steamy smell of clothes dryers into the air. The drugstore next to it had a sign out front that said no loitering. Beyond the drugstore, jangling and flashing in that unmistakable way, stood the arcade. It was called Mondo Video. Nice surprise. It was larger than I thought it would be. I went inside expecting nothing more than a few hours of fun, but it was the arcade surrounded by the bright noise of mindless electronic equipment that I began to see the whole picture. Okay, here we have two edgies. Hold on, please. Here we have two edgies talking from the sidewalk a block from the arcade. Excuse me. Edgy 1. Oh man, it's alters. Edgy 2. Let's get out of here. Those guys will beat up anyone they get their hands on. He starts to run. Edgy 1. Running. I hope they don't follow us. Edgy 2. I heard some of them carrying knives. Edgy 1. Panting and looking back. Oh, it's okay. They didn't follow us. Edgy 2. That was close. I hate those guys. Edgy 1. Don't worry. I heard the place is getting shut down.